Hey everyone, it's Sunday and it's time for another video. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about handicap accessible vans. Why did I decide to cover this topic today? Well, it's because I had to go buy one of these. In case you don't know what this is, it's a universal fuel cap. I had to go buy that because my previous fuel cap wasn't holding its seal very well. And the reason I knew this was that my check emissions light was on in my van and stayed illuminated over the course of a couple days. These kind of repairs happen often with any vehicle, and if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can usually save a decent amount of money versus taking your car into the dealer. But why does all this matter? Making sure to take care of the little things can help keep the accessible van running longer without having to take it in for repairs. For me, the van goes a long way to help me feel independent. But when I have to take it in for repairs, suddenly things get a lot more complicated. Before I go any further, I do want to say that there are options for people who don't have an accessible van. A lot of cities have public transit that's handicap accessible. Uber and Lyft both have accessible ride sharing, but you have to kind of figure those out as you go. There's rental vans and taxis too. However, all of these things take a little bit more foresight and planning to make them work the way you want. For someone who normally relies on a handicap accessible van, switching over to these other options can be a bit tricky for me. I feel less anxious and a lot more secure when I'm taking care of the van. I make sure to get oil changes when they're due. I get my tires rotated to make sure my tires have even wear. When something goes wrong, I ask around and make sure I know exactly what's wrong before I take it in to get a repair. Considering how much I care about this van, I want to make sure that I don't get taken advantage of. At home, I have someone help me check the power steering fluid and add more when I need it. It can be frustrating that I'm not physically strong enough to take care of these things myself. I try to stay knowledgeable about my vehicle so that I can direct other people when I ask them for help. Because it's my van, and it matters to me. The process you have to go through to get an accessible van is long and complicated. And if you want a van, you're probably going to have to work very hard to get it. But if you have the resources to get an accessible van, it can be well worth it. Some of my greatest memories are from road trips I took with the van. I've driven all across the West to see the Grand Canyon, Zion National Park, Yellowstone, Yosemite, and a lot of other great things. I'll probably cover it in more detail in a later video, but for now I'll just give some basic information. Handicap accessible van conversions are very expensive, and so is getting trained to use your hand controls. It can be difficult to find government resources to help pay for these things. In some cases, vocational rehab will help you pay for a van if you need to commute to work. It can be helpful to ask the accessible van dealership what sorts of resources are available. Well, that's all for now. As always, click subscribe if you haven't, look me up on Facebook, or follow me on Twitter for content and updates on when I'll be publishing the next video. See you next Sunday!